Hey, this is Dorr with Tactical Hyve. In today's video, we're going to be covering a Maritime assault loadout. This is a sampling of what I wore and how it was used, so stay tuned. Hey, today's video is brought to us by TacPack. TacPack is a monthly box service that sends out EDC, survival, and tactical gear. Go ahead and check them out in the link below. Be sure to use code TACHYVE at checkout, and the guys at TacPack will throw in a free $75 USA-made AR part with your first box. Let's get to the video. All right, guys, so here before us, we've got a sampling of what I wore during maritime operations. We're gonna go ahead and start up at the top. Helmets come in two varieties. We have bump helmets. For the longest time, we just used Protex. I still have a couple of those Protex, but eventually we started getting issued purpose-built bump helmets, which is a fancy way of saying it's like a Protec, but it costs like 5 times as much. But they're nice helmets, you know, they've got the Ops Core ratchet system. I could take it or leave it, but good helmets. Definitely all your training is going to be done with this. A lot of iterations, a lot of reps. Whether or not you were going to get away with using unarmored helmet during a live operation just depended on head shed. I have an old 2001 Mitch that I would use if I needed the ballistic integrity, given possibility of real bullets flying. It's set up just about the same way. Generally on the helmets, aside from identification with flags, I would definitely go with a strobe light on the top of my helmet. It's a good place to put it. You can get to it with both hands. Your friends can get to it. Everybody knows where it is. Both of these are made by S&S Precision. They're two different versions. They do basically the same thing. But if you're going to be out there, God forbid you were to fall in the drink, you know, the first thing you need to do, obviously get to the surface, breathe, and then after that, turn on your strobe. If it's a real world, you're probably at night, you're going to need it. They will find you. Don't leave home without it. Before my time and kind of right as I was coming in, wearing balaclavas was really in fashion. Obviously covers your face, protects you, conceals identity. As a breacher, you know, on ships, these aren't wooden ships, these aren't old ships, everything's metal. So if you need to do any kind of cutting or torching to get into compartments, definitely important. So sometimes I wore these, sometimes I didn't. If it was hot out, definitely not. I would just put it in a pocket if there was going to be breaching involved, because that was one of my collateral duties. Goggles, you got to protect your eyes, all right? Especially at night, there's a lot of moving parts, a lot of people jumping around, climbing up ladders, you're sliding down ropes, people are landing on each other, you don't want to catch a barrel in the face. You definitely want to take care of your eyes. I use a whole bunch of different types of goggles, but I like these ones. These are the Bolets. They don't fog up as fast. They've got this nice gap for ventilation, though during helicopter operations, you know, they're not going to work as well because they don't have that full integrity. So all the wash from the rotors will affect your vision slightly, but you just need to get down the rope and get away from the helicopter anyway. So I didn't think it was ever that big of a deal. This is an Oakley goggle. It's basically a snowboarding goggle or ski goggle. I believe that's literally what it was designed for, but they used to buy us these quite a bit. I would go ahead and just throw these on my helmet and have them definitely for helicopter operations, not so much for coming in on a boat. You're not going to get away with it in training, but you need to be able to see. And if your eye pro is just completely wet, filled with water, what have you, you're not going to be able to see very well. So it's kind of a give and a take, but definitely in training, you're going to want that. All right, so plate carriers. This is not the first or the last plate carrier for Maritime that I got issued, but once I got this one, I never really used anything else. This one's made by London Bridge. It is purpose-built for Maritime. It has these handy-dandy pouches that have flotation in them. You can go ahead and offset the weight of your kit with flotation pads, and this is all purpose-built for that. It also comes in what they call Maritime gray, but kind of looks, you know, almost like a green. This is another example of flotation pads that look like plates. You just stick them in right behind the plate, and it helps you not sink as fast. I set this plate carrier up pretty much the same way I had my other, you know, dry land plate carrier. You've seen that in other videos. I do no longer have a knife on that one because I don't need there to be. I haven't bothered to take any of this stuff off. This is exactly how I had it rigged Aside from being underway at sea, I would wear this in any kind of a river or jungle environment. When you're going onto a ship, you know, it's important to identify yourself, having lots of American flags. If you are a bad guy, sucks to be you, but if you are not a bad guy, it's generally known around the world that Americans aren't just gonna hurt you for no reason. So if it's just a crew or passengers or people that are non-combatants, generally speaking, you know, they see this, they know we're the good guys, and it de-escalates the situation before anything bad happens. On the back, 2 charge pouches and then a bladder pouch. You can put actual Camelback bladders in here. Obviously, I usually just run water bottles. Machine gun pouch is just an admin pouch for whatever you want it to be. I always like to have a place on my person to keep my night vision, no matter what time of day it is. On the side, tourniquet, frag pouches, another admin pouch. Won't necessarily use them, but they're there. This was replaced eventually by the Cry version, which had kind of a fabric mesh build to it. Guys liked them, they worked well, they looked just like the normal JPCs, but I was already kind of set in my ways. I liked this one the way it was, so I just stuck with it. Its predecessor right here is very old. Again, got this in the Dermo. I just can't help myself. But this is a very old kind of Gen 1 Molly. I think this is technically Ranger green, but in the Navy, it's just known as Maritime. This one has a radio pouch already on the back, which is super old school. I didn't put that there, it was already there. And then this has the Hyve bottle. So if you're in a helicopter over the water, you're gonna be required to have a Hyve bottle. And what this is, basically is a mini scuba tank. Depending on your level of panic, in the event the helo crashes in the water, you've got about 10 to 30, maybe 40 seconds tops of air. But if you're panicking, huffing and puffing, like it's gonna go pretty quick. But this is a purpose-built pouch for it. Again, it's on the back, and we would generally put the mouthpiece protector, we clip it right on the plate carrier or right on a specific spot on your gear so that in a panic at night, you know exactly where it is. It's life-saving equipment, so you need to know exactly where it is and exactly how to use it. You always make sure it's turned on ahead of time, and then you always turn it off at the end of use so that it doesn't accidentally drain. Underneath the plate carriers, we wore uniforms. This first uniform is known as the underway uniform. It's a quick drying material. I would wear it in training anytime you were jumping in the water or traveling on a small boat with a lot of waves. You're gonna get wet. You know, it's okay. These things dry off, like I said, they dry off pretty quickly. They're designed to be wet and then get dry, keep you a little bit warmer than normal clothing. But I've never seen one catch on fire, but we were told that this is technically flammable. So really, this is kind of only a training uniform. If you were doing real life operations where there could be some shooting, throwing flashbangs, breaching, etc., you know, especially on a dirty third world vessel or oil platform, there's going to be petrol all over the place. I mean, it's a gross environment. So that being said, I'm not going to be wearing anything that is even remotely flammable. This is the AOR2, you know, jungle pattern for the uniforms that we wore up till very recently. Did not wear these very often, so might as well wear them in that maritime environment. Again, anytime you're anywhere near a green jungle type environment, we would switch to these. And then generally speaking, out in sea or hitting a ship, going on a go-plat, I would wear these as well. These do not get as hot as these. So if you're gonna stay high and dry, like you're riding in helicopters, you're only gonna do one climb, you're gonna spend a lot of time on the ship, a lot of time on the go-plat, this is not good. Like you're gonna be wanting to jump back in the water. I mean, it's hot just touching right now, and it's only about 75 degrees. Knee pads in. All right, your knee pads in. The ships, you know, things, metal structure is very unforgiving on the knees. You can get away with a lot doing this type of work without knee pads, but anytime I was working on ships or oil platforms, I love having the knee pads. I mean, it's just, you know, a lot of the grading and stuff, it's got almost like a reverse cleat coming back up at you for traction, and you land on that wrong with your kneecap, not the deal. Even in these, I've got padding. There's actually an ammo crate padding in here. But I've got these 511 pads that I keep with this uniform just in case. And the added flotation helps if you fall in the water. Gloves. You're gonna definitely wanna wear gloves. If you're working with helicopters, you're gonna be fast roping. These fast rope gloves are designed to be worn over the top of your standard shooting glove. This is just run-of-the-mill mechanics gloves. These ones have a lot of venting to them and they dry out a little faster. but all in all, not that big of a deal. But yeah, you could get down a decent sized rope with these. If you were gonna do like a 90 footer, you'd probably want something a little bit bigger. But generally speaking, with the wind the way it is out there at sea, you're not gonna see 90-foot fast ropes. Not that it doesn't happen, but generally you can get away with something a little bit smaller. As far as on the belt, you know, I'm not saying I wouldn't necessarily go with the full bat belt shooting setup, but I tend to like to be a little bit slimmer, a little bit trimmer. Again, depending on what I was doing, maybe this plate carrier would be too much and I would go with something a little bit more purpose-built and streamlined. Just depends on what's going on. If I decided not to go with this, you know, and then I go right on the belt, obviously rigger's belts work great. It's just a black one and a AOR2 one. On the rigger's belt, you're gonna have your med kit. You're gonna have tourniquets either on belt or in pouches. Also going on the belt will be your water wings. Okay, these are CO2 activated water wings and they're designed to be worn on the belt. And you go ahead and you put them right on here just like this. If you're wearing a lot of gear and this motion is kind of impeded, you can't quite get your thumbs in there, you're feeling like you've got too much stuff on, there's actually a trick. You can switch sides and then turn these upside down and put them. And now activating, you just get your thumb in here and you pull down. So in an emergency, if you had a lot of stuff on, some guys are carrying saws or other types of breaching equipment, litters, etc. You can just go ahead and get your thumbs down in there and just pull straight to the ground like so. As far as pistols, nothing really changes, though on a ship, you are most definitely going to want light on every weapon system. I also carry handhelds and one around my neck because inside of those compartments, it can get very, very dark very, very quickly and you need to be able to see. So I will definitely make a point of having a weapon light on both primary and secondary, and then having tertiary means to keep things illuminated. And just because you've cleared it and you're good to go, depending on where you are, you might not be able to turn lights on. You might be in the dark for a prolonged period of time down there in the depths of whatever type of structure or vessel you're in. I'm also going to run, in a maritime environment, a pistol lanyard. And there are many types of pistol lanyards. This is the one that I brought, the one I could find. Do not go without this. What can happen will happen. Pistols do fall out of their holsters. For that reason, I would definitely go with something with a bail that locks in, just to give myself that extra chance not to lose anything critical, like say my pistol. So locking holster coupled with pistol lanyard, a must. This pistol lanyard is actually brand new. I've never used it because somebody by mistake bought a batch of aircrew pistol lanyards. This one's actually like really tough and tight. So I had other ones that I used, but if I had nothing else, I would definitely use this because any lanyard's better than no lanyard. And weapon retention. So on the plate carrier, this plate carrier, I do have a weapon retention. I run my weapon retention on my support side. I used to run my primary weapon retention on my primary side, but I found that the weapon could slide over and cover my secondary. And that's basically the equivalent of something covering your reserve parachute. That is never acceptable. You need to be able to get to your secondary, get it out, and bring it into the fight at a moment's notice, no matter what. This is an example of a retention strap. You'd go ahead and girth hitch this through itself somewhere on your plate carrier, depending on your body size and the amount of equipment you're carrying. And then you would just find a place to hook this onto. All right, now for helos, you're gonna need a helo lanyard. This is a system that attaches to you on your rigger's belt. That's what these handy dandy little eyelets are for. Here on the rigger's belt, you go ahead and you attach this end to the rigger's belt, just like so. It's right there, just below your navel, right there on your belt. This is the side that you clip in to the aircraft. And I'm specifically speaking to people that are still living this life because I see this screwed up quite a bit. I'm gonna explain something to you. So let's say I'm wearing this thing the way I'm supposed to be wearing it on my pants with all my stuff on it. I'm gonna go ahead and just hook this thing onto itself. You get onto the aircraft. This side stays on your person. Very important. This is the side you clip onto the aircraft. Okay, why? Because in an emergency, when the helicopter crashes at night, you're not gonna be able to see anything. There's gonna be people and equipment all over the place. So you need to be able to trace your body down to this release mechanism, this release lever, and get yourself untethered, unlanyarded to the aircraft. There is no way of knowing what is going to be between you and this end. Your friend with his 50 pounds of gear could be laying across the top of this. Two guys could be laying across the top. You have no idea. You're underwater, it's dark probably. This is how this is done. So if you ride in helicopters, please know how to use this properly. It might just save your life. All right, so these are red flex cuffs. They're for training, they're reusable. Flex cuffs, in my experience, tend to just kind of get shoved wherever they're easy to get to and wherever they fit. This is a real pair that have been rigged up to where you can grab onto, you can put the hands through there, grab onto it, and yank it up. I had it out here, you know, just in case. This is the UDT. There have been times where I just put one of these in a cargo pocket because it made me feel safe. Probably not if I'm wearing these, gonna worry about it, or if I have enough flotation in there that I'm really not that worried about drowning. But this is a great piece of equipment. You put it in a cargo pocket, you can clip it onto your belt. And as long as you have it, you know how to pull the actuator, this thing will pull you and your buddy back up to the surface. If I was gonna be in a jungle maritime environment, if there was swimming in rivers, you know, any of that kind of stuff, I would probably wear this maybe under my plate carrier, maybe over my slick plate carrier with my equipment over the top of that. I don't know, you gotta mess with it, you gotta see what works for you. If I'm gonna die, it's not gonna be from drowning. All right, now last but not least, you know, we hit boots really hard in a previous video, but obviously jungle boots, I would wear these for hooking and climbing. I could fast rope in these, though I probably wouldn't. Definitely any kind of jungle river on environment. I would either wear these, or if there was a long muddy patrol, like I said in previous video, I'd probably wear an actual pair of jungle boots. If you've never been in a jungle, the stories you've heard are not exaggerations. There are all kinds of crazy, freaky things in the jungle, and you do not want them going into your boots or up your pants. So I highly recommend high top jungle boots if you are in actual jungle, just saying. I would definitely not fast rope in chucks, but hooking and climbing in chucks, definitely. These things are nice and narrow. They're nice and minimalist. You can get up ladders very easily with them. Don't have awesome ankle support, but they've got pretty good ankle support. I've never seen anybody injure themselves wearing these. I've definitely worn these quite a bit for actual hooks and climbs, and never had a problem. And then of course, you know, I'm gonna have my Loas. You know, even if I'm wearing these, I might even throw these around my neck just because they make me feel safe. They make me feel cozy. They make me feel sweet and nice. All right, maybe not. But for fast roping, definitely iteration, I would definitely use these. I love these things. They're super comfy, but they are not great when they get wet. They're sponges. So if I felt like I could keep dry, I might treat myself and go with these. But if I was gonna get wet, I would definitely go with these. We covered the purpose-built Maritime boot in the boots video. I'm not a fan of those. Those boots were actually Coach's. Those were the latest, greatest iteration, and I never went to Supply and picked those up because I just didn't want them. Don't care about them. I still have the older version, but I'm just not a big fan of them, guys. I like real boots. I like to protect my feet. If I'm cold, I'll wear neoprene socks, but that's just me. All right, so this was a down and dirty. I know there's a lot of gear here. If I didn't get into something deep enough for you, go ahead and hit me up in the comments. You know, this is just kind of, we're just hitting the wave tops here. Definitely something to think about. The open ocean or even rivers, lakes, whatever body of water you're working with, it does change things. You're gonna be weighing yourself down, all right? I didn't go over comms. I didn't really cover weapons or ammo or anything like that, but it's because it's pretty standard. You know, I used the Mark 18, which was the CQBR, you know, the 10-inch Mod 1, the Mod 2s were out for a hot minute before I got out. Generally speaking, that's what I used. I pretty much always carried a SIG 226, but sometimes I did use an MP5 SD, but that was for niche specific purposes. I was also a helo sniper, but that's for another video for another day. So as always, if you guys like this comment, give us a like, subscribe if you haven't already done so, and I'll see you next time.